Good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition. My name is Issa Nu. Today we shall be looking at issues that pertains to politics, and you know the 2023 general election is fast approaching. February 25 may seem to be a bit far, but for those in the political terrain, they understand the nitty-gritty of the importance of timing, and for them to make any mistake at this particular point in time, it will definitely affect the result come February 25. So as a result of that, it is pertinent that we discuss issues that pertains to how they strategize with their campaigns, and also how they are also pushing the voters to also buy into their idea and also collect their PVC. One major issue that is still hanging is still the issue of the diaspora voting. Will that be possible? So these are some of the issues that we need to discuss. People have to get information with respect to how political parties are putting pressure to see that, yes, things go as planned. So today we shall be discussing with nobody but a member of the All Progressive Congress, not just a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council in person of Mr. Michael Oluwagbemi. We'll be discussing with him for him to give us the highlight of his political party. We've seen them going around the country to sell their votes, to sell their manifestos to the populace. And let's see if we can get the best come 25th of February 2023. So we take a very short break, and when we return, we start up with the conversation with Mr. Michael. Welcome back from that mild break, and afternoon, Mr. Michael. It's nice having you on this program.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, 2023 is just by the corner. Do you have this sense of pressure as the election draws near?
Yes, naturally. Once again, good afternoon to you all, viewers, and thanks for having me on the program. Yes, naturally, as the elections draw near, political gladiators, that's what we are, will definitely feel the pressure as we are all about to go into the examination hall, where the only invigilators and instructors are the Nigerian people. On that day, over 93 million Nigerian people will be eligible to go to the polls to actually determine our fate, whether we're going to be the one staffing the Aso Rock Villa, or the Red Chamber, or the Green Chamber, or the multiple state chambers across Nigeria, as well as governorship lodges. So we are going into an examination hall with multiple questions and multiple answers, with multiple potential outcomes. The goal of every political party, the over 17 parties that we have in Nigeria, is to maximize our political control so that we can be able to implement the vision that we have presented to the Nigerian people with respect to our manifesto. The APC, the All Progressive Congress, which is the ruling party of Nigeria today, which I also happen to be a founding member of, and a member of the Presidential Campaign Council in the Southwest Grassroots Committee, have released the manifesto that is based on renewed hope. We believe very strongly as a party that in the last 8 years, we've been able to lay a very strong foundation for Nigeria's economic growth and development, peace and security, and progress, and that the Nigerian people should give us an opportunity to continue to build on that foundation. Did we achieve everything we set out to achieve 8 years ago? No. We will be magicians if we're able to do that. Given the fact that this country has experienced 2 recessions, one global downturn as a result of COVID-19, unprecedented downturn in the economy of the world as a result of the ongoing Ukraine-Russian war, put very pressure on the energy supply of the world. The world is going through terrible and perilous times, and we happen to be governing during that period. So that has hampered our ability to implement some of our visions for the country.
Could that be a strategic way of saying that if we did not achieve your manifesto?
We did not achieve 100% of what we set out to achieve in 2015, but we've achieved tremendous relative to the resources that is available to us. So the other day I was looking at the metric that was given in terms of how much Nigerian government have been spending since independence. This president, by far, have had the lowest amount of resources to be able to implement his vision per annual basis. In fact, since the inauguration of this presidency, it's had access to roughly about 30 to 40 billion dollars in terms of annual revenue, national revenue, in the entire period of 8 years. If you consider the fact that Goodluck Jonathan, just in 5 years alone, had access to $120 billion, and then we are having access to just anything from 40 to 50 billion dollars over his period of of 8 years, but Goodluck had access to $120 billion in a period of 5 years. That will tell you the difference in resources available to this administration. Yet, he's been able to deliver world-class infrastructure, built rail. Lagos-Ibadan rail was started and completed in this tenure. Was able to complete the rail that has been built since 1989, started by Ibrahim Babangida, starting from Warri all the way to Itakpe. He was able to complete it and it's operational. Was able to commission the Kaduna-Abuja rail. And despite any of the issues I've thrown to those rail services by security, has been able to face up to the challenges. Just this morning, we woke up to the fact that the hostages that were taken on the Edo rail line have now been released. And of course, despite those lapses, this administration has continued to strive. By the time this administration got into office, more than 11 local government areas of this country were under siege. We had the flag of Boko Haram flying in those places. Today, that is no more. Our military had only 2 flying aircrafts in 2015. Today, they have over 60 flying platforms. Our Navy has been re-enabled, has been re-energized. This country, when we came in, had millions of people that were in poverty and did not have access to any social benefits.
But then in terms of security, you know, definitely issues that pertain to security has to do with not just properties, but also lives. And if you still look at the country today, taking a look at the geography of the country, the Southeast is one major place that is very, very important to this nation. But still, we are still having issues of insecurity in that particular area. Just of recent, we had issues of banditry in parts of Sokoto and Kebbi State. So how has your party fare with all this, and then you are still campaigning for a 2023 general election?
Absolutely. So we have to consider the fact that, number one, these problems were not created overnight. The problem of security we are facing in Nigeria today was as a result of the previous administrations of this country not facing up to the reality and tackling the issue. Number one, you have to tackle the issue of social harmony and cohesion. If you do not have social harmony and cohesion, you're going to have problems. Number two, you also have to tackle the issue of poverty and unemployment. A lot of these, I mean, we had a party in this country for 16 years that its greatest poverty alleviation program was called Sure-P, which was distributing buses and keke napep across this country. That cannot be a poverty alleviation program. Rather, we came in and we said, no, we have to take a different tack. We have to provide jobs for the people. So we created the program, the NASACO program, which was under the office of the vice president, where you actually had things like trader money, actually giving money to market women and trader people in order to increase the number of people they employ. We had things like N-Power. We had things like social investment program.
But people have also questioned the process of your social investment program.
Well,
because just of recent, you know, there is this case with a popular Nigerian musician, the band. So there are so many issues. So when you look at,
there are going to be issues. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that the program was perfectly executed, but the program that actually had the award of the United Nations as the largest and the best run social investment program in the world, you cannot tell me that it has not been well done. It has been well done. Well, we can always optimize. Even your best can be bettered. But the fact is that it now exists. Not only does it exist, it has now been institutionalized. The president actually signed off last year the National Social Investment Program law. So now it's not just the program that was created by APC. Any government that comes into Nigeria from now going on forward will have to implement some social investment program for the very poorest. We have created a Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that is to administer that program. Now it is a standard program. So the poorest of the poor, you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm poor, I do not have money, there's SACPA, there's all this kind of, I want to move, I want to jackpot. Most of the people doing those things are still not very poor. We are talking about people that cannot even afford to put 1 square meal a day on their table, living across Nigeria. You have 20, 30 million people living in the throes of poverty. This administration is saying those people need to be taken care of, because if we don't take care of them, they will become the bandits, they will become the terrorists. So for many years, for over 62 years of existence of this country, it's just in the last 8 years, we're beginning to address what we call abject and chronic poverty. And this administration as a progressive, the first progressive administration in Nigeria. Every administration before this have been conservative, and they believe in, okay, making the rich richer and hoping that the rich is going to feed the poor. We said no, that is the strategy that we don't believe in. We believe in taking the money to the actual poor. We even had monies that were returned by Abacha under the Abacha Loot program being given directly to widows, to the poorest of the poor in Nigeria, which was called the redistribution funds that was implemented through the social investment program. That money is direct money paid every month, 5,000 naira a month, to the poorest of the poor, people that have not even seen 200 naira in their lifetime. Collected 5,000 naira over a period of 5 years under the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari. Today we feed over 10 million children every day. Children that might not be able to eat egg, meat, not even be able to eat bread in their lifetime. When they go home, now they're eating food in school. Now everybody can come and you can criticize the program, but I can tell you that the over 20 million beneficiary of Nigerian Social Investment Program, if you take the 10 million children, about 11 million children under the school feeding program, you take another 2 or 3 million under the N-Power program, as well as the trader money program, which gives you another 5 million, then you now take another 2 million under the direct beneficiary program, where they actually send their bachelor back to the poorest people in Nigeria. You're having 20 million people. How many people are going to the polls in a few months' time? We have 93 million people. So of those 20 million people, I can tell you that among the 93 million people, at least half of them have a family, a member, or a relative that already benefited from President Muhammad.
Education is key. Education is a way to move the nation forward. Absolutely. And what level can you rate the government with respect to what they've done in the educational sector?
I will say that the role of the federal government in education in our constitution is very clear. The first and foremost is that the federal government is an enabler, not the executor of education program. Education is primarily a responsibility of state government when it comes to basic education. Primary education, secondary education is the responsibility of state government. The federal government is to set standard and also to ensure that they do counterpart funding to things like UBEC as well as TED fund. Now, when it comes to tertiary education, the federal government can play there, and that's where the federal government can be most effective in terms of our universities. And I think one thing this federal government has done, and I think future generation of Nigerians will be grateful to them, is that we've stood up to HASU. We've decided to break the HASU cartel that is going to be keeping our children at home for many, many months. Yes, it happened, but the federal government stood up to HASU. They took them to court, and HASU is now back down. This administration has done what other administration cannot do. All of them became slaves of HASU. We're saying, no, not anymore. This country, you cannot keep our children at home forever. Now, if for you to have any strike in Nigeria because of that precedent, you must go to court, and the court has ruled. And I think that is a good thing that this administration has done.
This is a critical aspect that I would have want us to discuss in detail, but then still we have to discuss politics. It's very, very important. And it is good that we started with the foundation of what your government have done, because the government we have today is the government of the APC.
Absolutely.
And now the APC is part of the ballot.
Absolutely.
Come 2023. So come February 25th, I mean to say. Now looking at how you guys are going around campaigning, what are the reactions of those who are going to vote come 2023, come February 25th, sorry?
Yes, on February 25th, the APC that has governance of 21 state governments under it today, and has support of those 21 state governors, and also has support of 5 PDP governors. Maybe I should announce to you on this stage.
Who are these 5? If you can,
they know themselves, the Integrity Group. And
you mean the Wike Group, or who are these 5?
I will give you.
When you say integrity, every governor will say they have integrity.
The Integrity Group.
Okay.
And then we also have the support of Governor Soludo, because he was an appointee of this president before he ran for governor, and is now Africa governor of Anambra. So it makes what? 21 plus 5 makes what?
Governor Soludo.
26 plus 1 makes 27.
If you
and then we also have one. The PDP is left with 8, and even among their 8, one of them is soft. And I can challenge them. If when we go to Bauchi next week, they should ask who paid for APC rally in Bauchi State. I will not say more than that. When we get on the field, the jungle will mature. And I think it is very clear that the APC is the party to beat. If you are wasting your time, if you are in another party, on 25th, the people are with us. Because Nigerian people, everybody go online, they make noise, they buy a ballot, APC is bad, Buhari has killed, blah, blah, blah. The Nigerian people are not stupid. The vast majority of Nigerian people knows that, okay, this is how much this man have collected. But see, he's delivered real. My aged mother, whenever I lost a cousin on the road from Lagos to Ibadan, under the PDP administration in 2010, on the watch night service from 2010 to 2011, the only son of his mother, his father, we had lost him 5 years before when he was on the road from Akure to Ondo, died on bad road. Lagos Ibadan road remained bad under PDP administration from 1999 all the way to that 2010, and my cousin died. Today, my mother, age-old mother, over 70, can now go to Ibadan. She lives in Ibadan. Can now go see her grandchildren in Lagos without even having to take that road, courtesy of the work of Muhammadu Buhari. And now you are expecting her not to vote for him? It's not possible. If you like, you can do propaganda from morning to night. You can abuse Muhammadu Buhari. Everybody, the people, the Nigerian people know where the shoe pinches. And we know that if a man has given me real, that even not only can I just sleep and relax on the real without worrying about accident happening, the turns and the turvy of a road or bad road, I can even go to the restroom, I can eat, I can relax and enjoy cool AC for over 3 hours from Lagos to Ibadan. You want me to vote against the same man? It's not possible. My mother, every time she gets on that reel, she takes pictures and sends to me and prays for Muhammadu Buhari and Yemi Oshibajo.
What's the fate of Tinubu contesting?
He's a winner. He's a front runner. I challenge Atiku Abubakar to go on TV and call himself a front runner. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said it from day one that he's the front runner. If Atiku can say it on TV, I will change my last name. He can't. There's only one front runner. The front runner is Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
So the PDP don't seem to agree with
and
this.
We have one state that is that we are trying to harvest.
But the PDP seem not to agree with this particular postulation you are making today.
It's a very easy thing. If you're a political analyst, and I think you're on a political program. In 2019, we ran against Atiku Abubakar, who went back to his vomit after he joined our party and tried to contest against Muhammadu Buhari in the primaries of 2015 and lost. Instead of him to stay within the party. By the way, we gave him an opportunity in 2007 as ACN. We actually gave the ticket to him when he was fighting his old master, Olusegun Obasanjo. And so one of those constituent parties is now part of APC. So in 2015, he ran in the primary and lost, and that's fine. In politics, you can be a loser or a winner. The APC people said Muhammadu Buhari best represents the person that we want to push from, and we chose him. And then in 2019, he went back to his vomit in desperation in order to get the ticket. And then he ran against us. Who was his vice president? Peter Obi of the Labour Party today. Who was his main man in Kano? Kwankwaso, who is also running against him, and NPP today. Who was his main proponent and was the financier of his primaries and everything that happened in the Port Harcourt Convention? He's Nyesom Wike. So you have these four people now running against you. We are just APC. We are just bystanders. We are just watching as he's being rubbished by some people.
But there's this thinking amongst Nigerians that Tinubu is more of even a regional person than even a nationalist. So what can you have? What do you have to say with this?
You cannot call Nigeria's master strategist the man that was able to turn a one-state majority in 2000 and after 2003 when he was. The party, Alliance for the Eastern Party, Alliance for Democracy, was decimated to a one-state party after the 2003 election rigging that happened. And then built it back to become the majority party of Nigeria today, sitting on 21 states. In 2015, we had a 19-state majority. In 2023, we're already sitting on 21. So we even increased from 2015 to date.
But there's a fear that some
there's no way you can call that kind of master
but still there is a fear.
There
is a fear that some governors within the APC are in support of Atiku, but in a lull manner.
It is not possible. That is a political naivety. Every governor in Nigeria knows that your governorship election takes place 2 weeks after the presidential election. And whoever wins the presidential election is going to determine who they are going to put in the different governor houses. And every governor wants to have chosen, unless you are telling me that all these governors you are talking about already control PDP in their state and they were able to install the PDP governorship aspirant in their state. And so what they will do is that after they make their own party lose in presidential election, then 2 weeks later they will impose the person they've already imposed in PDP.
They may adopt the same the same plan of Peter Obi, because if you remember, there was a time Peter Obi was in Rivers State, and he had stated that the governor should give him the presidency. The other positions are not very. But don't you think they too are going to toe that same line?
My friend in Edo State would call that political rigmarole. It's not possible. It's not possible for you to have that kind of transaction. The same Wike made fun of him the very next day after he left Rivers State. Governor Wike, you have to give him credit. He knows how to make his host feel very comfortable, and he will tell you what you want to hear. He has already even told the journalists that are waiting for the January announcement to wait till January 31, maybe at 12 midnight or maybe at 11:59 p.m. on January 31 before he announces his choice. He knows how to keep Nigerian people waiting and guessing. But we all know what he is going to do. We at least know that he's not going to support Atiku Abubakar. That is clear.
With the present health status of your candidates, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
yes.
Do you think he's fit?
I want to have the health status of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you can be able to run around Nigeria the way he has been running around Nigeria, while Atiku Abubakar was cooling his feet in Dubai and London, this man, in one night, I remember the night he went to Kano. Before we looked, the man was in Edo. Before we woke up, he was in Abuja. Before we woke up, he was addressing the MSME and technology people in Lagos. In a space of 48 hours. And you want to tell me that this man is weak? Look, we all want to get old. Naturally, the older you are, the wiser you are. Maybe you have some associated age-old weaknesses associated with age, but you cannot doubt the mental stability, sanity, and the ability to handle the rigors of the work. When you talk to Ahmed Tinubu, is a hard worker. The fact of the matter is that the president is 10 years older than him, he's 80 years old, and he's still discharging his responsibility very well. A lot of people that came and were on different radio station or TV station in 2015 saying that Muhammadu Buhari is going to die, he's a dead man walking and all that. God forgive me, they've already passed to the other side, and Jubril of Sudan is still kicking.
Okay, now moving on to other issues that pertains to development and the rest of it like that. Just of recent, you know, some, what are they calling it? Most of our politicians in Nigeria, presidential candidates, they were at Chatham House to discuss issues. And as a result of that, it has thrown a lot of debate amongst public analysts that why should they all go to Chatham House to sell their ideas instead of probably we have Nigerian Institute of International Affairs where they can discuss some of these issues. So why do you think politicians need to get to that place for them to sell out their plans?
The honest truth is that the NIA should organize a forum for Nigerian politicians, and not just Nigerian politicians, African politicians, to be able to sell their idea to their people, and they should be able to develop a program of this stature for NIA. But the Chatham House is a global stage. President Biden, when he was running for president, Senator McCain, when he was running for president, President Obama, when he was running for president, were all invited to give their piece for President of the United States. They are not from United Kingdom, but Chatham House is the United Kingdom. So it's a global stage, and it's a thing of honor that Nigerian presidential candidates make it out there. It shows definitely that Nigeria is a country to be reckoned with in the world. We are the largest economy in Africa. We are the #1 leading country in Africa when it comes to the politics, the geopolitics of Africa. We are the only country that will have the president of African Development Bank, EFC, African Exim. We are the World Trade, WTO Director General, just immediate past OPEC Secretary General. Botswana, Egypt, South Africa cannot represent Africa. The only country that can represent Africa is Nigeria, the richest black nation in the history of the world. So if you want to talk about humanity, you're talking about 3 or 4 major races. You're going to talk about the Caucasian, the Negroid, and you're going to talk about the Mongoloids. And Nigeria represents the Negroes. And so we will be out there in Chatham House to represent the harm of the human race. And America will come there to represent the Caucasians, and China will come there to represent the Mongoloids. These are the 3 countries in the world that matter. Nigeria is one of them.
What's your reaction to the level of at which people don't have that vibe to collect their PVC?
I'm sorry. It's very, very unfortunate. To give us this democracy, many people died. Magudu Akalto is a journalist just like you. He was bombed. It was supposedly bombed, was set up and killed in the struggle for democracy in the 90s. Kudirat Abiola, a woman, was shot in broad daylight in Lagos while she was fighting for this democracy. The likes of Alfred Rewane was also killed in the course of fighting for this democracy. Many people were jailed, including our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Babafemi Ojudu, a journalist like you, the publisher of the news and PM News. The likes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu were chased into exile. Like of Beko Ransom Kuti went into exile. And too many people, men and women, died for us to have this right to be able to elect our leaders. And it's very unfortunate if anybody does not, #1, register to vote, and 2, pick up their PVC to vote, and then make themselves available to vote. Because the bloods of our heroes and our heroines is crying whenever you do not do that. If you look at our national anthem, it said, the labors of our heroes past shall not be in vain.
There's one demographic that is very, very important. Those that live outside the country, who are also Nigerians, the diasporans. Sure. There's this clamor for them to also partake in the 2023 general election. But before I ask you the question, let's just quickly listen to the reports of Nigerians in diaspora by Joy Hani.
As Nigerians decide who heads the next government and to be saddled with the affairs of the nation, reactions have continued to trail the yearnings for inclusion from her citizens living abroad. Though it is yet to pass the legislative dome, the question remains when Nigeria will be ripe for diaspora voting as practiced in some other countries' voting process.
I believe that slow and steady win the race. We've started this. And it has now been put into the Electoral Act, and this Electoral Act is already in the National Assembly. I believe in the next 4 years, we won't be talking of diaspora voting. Rather, we'll be asking ourselves, how many diasporas are voting.
Alhaji Kabir Shitu Muhammad, former chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, says with Nigeria's 24 years into democratic space, there is no doubt that it could only get better in the coming years as it concerns the diaspora voting.
We believe that we don't have any other country than Nigeria. You don't have any process than this democratic process, and we should shun violence, because whoever wins is a Nigerian. Whoever wins is part of us. Whoever wins is coming to work for me and you.
Kazim Afegwa, a political analyst, says he is for diaspora voting, but the awareness is crucial, as it is more crucial for residents to be prepared and effectively participate in in-country election before pushing for the diaspora.
Nigeria outside is just like a country, but you need to follow the process using the legality of law. You don't just decree it into existence. Diaspora must vote. Get more and more people to talk about it so it becomes a topical issue. We need to put it in the front burner of our discourse. Again, those who are here, are they all voting? That's the question. 2019 election, 84.something million people. How many people voted? Just about 30 million. What happened to the remaining 50 million? We need to generate public awareness, public interest in choosing those who represent us at different categories of elections.
Some Nigerians share their ordeal on diaspora voting inclusion.
National House of Assembly want to do the right thing. This is the right time for them to fast track that process to make it possible, so that anywhere you are in any part of the world, anytime Nigeria is a electionary time, you can vote anywhere you are.
Necessary, right? Because they are part of the country, and I think it's necessary for them to vote for their own right choice.
Home, we never had this serious enough to encourage them, because our seriousness will move them there to participate. At what time now? In America, when they do time of American voting, I think there are people who outside the opera who vote for them there. Even Nigeria can emulate that to help us too. That's what I see there.
Recall that INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu recently urged the National Assembly to expedite actions by amending sections of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended to accommodate Nigerians living abroad to participate in the electoral process and vote. Joy Annie, ASO Television News.
Welcome back from that report by Joy Annie. So you've listened. The former IPAC chairman did say that they should wait for the next 4 years, probably after this election, before that entry will be given to them. And you've also listened to Nigerians also stating that there is that need for them to partake in the process. They are Nigerians. So what's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I'm neither here nor there. I think the right process has to be followed. I used to be in diaspora myself. I lived there for 13 years. And when it came time for permanent voter registration in the 2011 cycle, I remember traveling back to Nigeria 3 times in order to be able to pick up my PVC, and just for that sole purpose, because I felt it was very important that I participated in the process. And if you think that is important, then you prioritize it. You can be diaspora and still vote in Nigeria today. You just have to come back home during the PVC registration, pick up your PVC when you need to pick it up, and then when it comes to election time, travel back. And in 2015, I was stuck in Cameroon about the time of the election, and I remember that it was the Nigerian Air Force pilots that insisted that Nigerians must fly back that day because we needed to vote the very next day, and I did. I flew back into Lagos, and then I voted in Lagos in 2015 elections. And when it came to time when I moved to Abuja, and I needed to vote in Abuja, I moved my PVC with me. And now, because I'm a grassroots politician, I need to vote in my home state of Ekiti. I move my PVC back home, and on the election day, I'll be back home. So again, it is important. I devote time to it, and I do it. I think if you are talking about making it easy for Nigerians to vote, generally speaking, yeah, we can introduce some things. For example, making it easy for us to transfer our PVC online, making it easy for us to register to vote, to pick up the right to vote. I think those are even more priority. We have, like Mr. Fegba said, we have 93 million people. At the end of the day, you might not have 33, 34 million people vote in this particular election. Expanding into diaspora comes with some challenges. Number one, how do you define diaspora? Have we registered or enumerated all the diaspora? Nigerians living in Niger Republic, they are diaspora. Nigerians living in Benin Republic, they are diaspora. Nigerians living across the border in Cameroon, they are diaspora. Well, guess what? People who live in those border communities around Nigeria, they are both Nigerians and they are Cameroonians. They are both Nigerians and Nigerians. They are both Nigerians and they carry dual citizenship because their mother is Nigerian, their father is. Do we want Nigerians to start voting in Nigerian election? Do we want Beninois to start voting in Nigerian election? Do we want Cameroonians and Chadians to start voting in Nigerian elections? So we have to be careful. We have to understand what we are really asking for. The diaspora is not just people living in London. It's not just people living in Washington, D.C. Chad, Ghana, all of them are diaspora. And then suddenly you drop a boatload of people who do not understand Nigerian politics, and they have issues of fraud, and we have issues of people with dual nationalities and dual allegiances, and then we start affecting Nigeria's election. So I would say, before we even get to this issue of just broad daylight, diaspora voting, because we have in our mind people that live in America and London as people who are in diaspora, but we're not thinking about the real diaspora who are living across our countries and share allegiances. Let's focus on making sure that the 93 million people that we already have registered vote. Make it easy for people to transfer their voting. A lot of students in Nigeria today, they registered in their home state, but they are now in school. They cannot vote because in Nigeria you cannot have what we call portable or portability of registration. Why can't we have portability of registration? I already have a PVC on my hand. All I need to go is to online and say, look, this is my new address. Send them one bill to show that this is their new address. If you're a student, send them your school bill and say, look, this is where I now vote. And then INEC goes to the universities and puts a polling booth there, and then our students can vote. Those are the kind of things I expect us to be talking about.
Lastly, what will your party use to probably campaign during this period, most especially when it comes to the issue of economy?
We will campaign that we have begun to rebuild a country that was broken. We will campaign that the foundations that was weakened before is not rebuilt, and now it's time for us to set up the superstructure. And there's no better person to do it than the financial engineer in Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who re-engineered Lagos to be the fourth largest economy in Africa. We will campaign that this party is the party of the poor people, the party of Mesuya and the party of the Keke Napep rider, the party of the poorest farmer that gave the Hanko Bora program, gave the social investment program, gave infrastructure to Nigeria. It's a party of infrastructure, the party of Mr. Build. That's the President Muhammadu Buhari, and we want to continue the good work he has started. And we also tell them that APC is the party of security, that a party that restored the military of Nigeria back to its pride of place to become the best fighting force in Africa once again, that gave it all the Super Tucano fighters, all the super jets, that gave it back its machinery to be able to fight war, instead of taking money that is delegated to them into sockaway pits and ruining it away into corruption.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Oluwagbemi, sorry, I mean to say. It's nice having you on the program, and we've heard and we've listened, and I believe for viewers, they've also listened to what you've said all so far, and we hope that Nigerians will definitely weigh amongst the political parties and decide come February 25th. This is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition, discussing politics. Is very, very critical as we'll vehicle our way towards the 2023 general election.